Hey, good day, everyone. It's your boy Q, aka O.G.Pimpson, rocking my Bay Area old school rep the Bay gear here with the Woodson throwback. It's about to be a classic, legend that he is, Woodson. I'm Bay Area native, born and raised. Definitely rocking the Golden State Warriors, world champions as we are. Hat for the day. I'm here today just basically to talk about a lot of this Steph Curry backlash, hence my attire. Got to rep my Bay Area boys. But first off, let's give a mention to hosted here on G.A.B. channel on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe now. G.A.B. Guidelines to Achieve and Build. Yes, it's for you. Comprehensive topics we discuss here. Just kicking off a series now of basketball-related topics. These videos will be talking about a wide range of issues on basketball, just from a fan's perspective. I consider myself an avid basketball fan. Since the 70s, I've been watching basketball pretty much my whole life. I can vividly recall the first championship series that I really remember was back in like 77, I believe, with the Supersonics. When they were in Seattle, not the Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going all the way back to Seattle. Supersonics versus the Bullets. I believe it was 77. I could be wrong. 76, 77, 75, 76, somewhere in that realm. 76, 77, 77, 78. Yeah, you get the point. It was right in that era. That's when I really remember this series. I don't recall the year, but I do remember the series. You had guys, Lonnie Shelton for the Seattle Supersonics, Jack Sikma, and one of the most underrated backcourt duos you will ever see, Gus Williams, Dennis Johnson, was a wrap. I mean, that was a phenomenal duo. They don't get a lot of credit historically, but that was one of the most historic duos, backcourt duos you would see it up to that point in time that really played together. Gus the Wizard Williams, coming from my hometown. Golden State Warriors, we sorry we had to let them go. We were letting go of a lot of players back in that era. So, then they were facing the aging Bullets, right? You see Wes Unseld lumbering up and down the court. Go get in that paint, he's going to set a pick on you real hard. He's going to come down the lane. Today's fouls, these flagrant fouls, you had nothing on Wes Unseld. You go into a Wes Unseld paint, you're getting hit. You're getting hit very hard, right? He was just going to come up, and he didn't have leaping ability or anything like that. He was just a big Mahorn-like dude. He would just go up, knock you down. You just go to the line, shoot your 2 free throws, but you weren't getting a flagrant foul. You weren't going to get the ball out of bounds, all that. You're just going to get a couple knocks on your head and, maybe a black eye because you went to Wes Unseld's lane. So it's Wes Unseld, the Big E, Elvin Hayes would post you up, do those. He had the slower Hakeem shake, but, he would do the little move, left, right, pivot, throw the baby hook up and under, get you with that little fade away, fade away from about 12 feet. That was unstoppable. I remember that series. That was the first series I really remember. Downtown, Freddie Brown, oh Lord, shooting from deep. They just introduced the three-pointer, maybe they didn't even have it that year, probably, but it was either the first year or maybe the second year, or maybe it wasn't even introduced. They didn't even have a three-pointer, but this dude used to just shoot from deep. Downtown Freddie Brown. Remember him. So I do remember that series. That was my first real introduction to a finals. And it was such a trip because in those days, you actually had to watch it late at night. Here on the West Coast, we got the tape delay. It was so crazy. I would have to take a nap coming home from school. I would take a nap from about 5 to about 9. Take a nap. Get up, eat a little food, because I knew the game would come on until 11:30 West Coast time. This is 11:30 West Coast time that the game is even showing. It's on tape delay. The finals of the NBA is on a tape delay. Okay? I mean, what's that? But the NBA image back then wasn't as glamorous and global as it is now. But in those days, yeah, you were watching a tape-delayed NBA Finals. It wasn't even live. Imagine that. And I would, as a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, I would make sure I was going to see that game, though. I would take me a nap, wake up, get my popcorn, watch the game, watch the finals. And that was all the way up until about the mid-'80s. I remember watching Magic Johnson on tape delay. It wasn't just in the 70s. This continued through the 80s, about the mid-'80s, where you got to watch Larry Bird against Magic. On the West Coast, it's not even live. It's on tape delay. Again, 11:30 at night. So you got to zone out all the noise and make sure you don't hear who won. Don't watch any news. Friends can't call. I'm like a teenager at this time watching Magic on tape delay, but I went through the same routine. But at this time, I also got a VCR right around then. So sometimes, hey, man, I can't get up. I got to go to school in the morning. I got a test. This is like early June. I got still finals to deal with. I can't stay up every time. So sometimes I would just have to record it and then watch the next day or watch it like early that morning before I even went to school, just so I could kind of get the information before the information came to me. But yeah, fanatic, basketball fanatic. Also, played hoops, did my share of balling in my day. Didn't make it to the NBA, but hey, a break here or there, who knows? Yeah, we all got that story, right? But hey, some of it's truer than others, let it be told. But other than that, I've always looked at basketball from an analytical perspective. Ever since I was little, I would just try to see all the nuances of how the game is played. And, in that time, it was to basically apply it to my game. I always studied like the point guards to see what kind of things made them different and better. And so those kinds of things I employed even all throughout my life. Later on, I used these analytical skills to go to college and get an engineering degree, a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. And I had a 15-year-plus career in the technology world based on a lot of my analytical abilities. So from an analytical perspective, I got you. On basketball, whatever, that's my thing. I analyze stuff. So that's how the wheels in this head spin. They analyze things. So that's how we're going to attack this basketball discussion about Steph Curry and about how he would fare in different eras and all the backlash he's getting from a lot of legends out there that are kind of criticizing. You got the Big O. Respect it. Love the Big O. One of my first basketball books as a young kid, about 10, 11 years old. I read a basketball book. It said, like, basketball legends. And it covered the Big O, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain. Just had those three. Maybe Lou Alcindor might have been in there. Okay, so I read the whole story. It was like chapters devoted to each one of these guys. So I know all about the Big O. I never saw you play in person. But I have seen the clips. I know about that era. I know what you did. You were a great player. I understand all that. So coming to today's era, though, when we're talking about a guy like a Steph Curry, whether, he could play in this era really well because of the rule changes, but could he play in other eras? That's absolutely ludicrous thinking to think that a player of his caliber couldn't play in other eras. But one thing we have to set the bar at to understand, there's differences from every era which dictates how a kid who's developing his game is going to approach the game. I mean, that's the basics of supply and demand. Like there was no three-pointer back then, right? So basically, if I know there's not a three-pointer and I'm a kid growing up in the 60s, why am I trying to shoot from 25 to 35 feet? There's no benefit to that. So I'm not getting an extra point. All I'm getting is maybe a lower field goal percentage out of the deal, which is going to hurt my team, hurt my overall play, and it's going to hurt my team's success. So basically, kids and players in that day didn't focus on shooting, from 25 to 35 feet. they focus more on the mid-range game. Me personally, when I played high school, we didn't have a three-pointer in high school. I played in the 80s. The three-pointer came after me. You know, and if you're shooting a 22-footer back in the days before the three-pointer, that was a high-risk shot, 22 feet. So to imagine a guy like Steph Curry playing in that era, it's not really transferable to say he would do the same thing. So I can see what Oscar Robertson is kind of saying, but also you just got to look at the differences in the approach to basketball and how players would play in that era. You had a lot of two-way guards, was kind of the mantra back then, where a guy had to be proficient not only at handling the ball and setting the table, but also you got to be able to shoot consistently, and you got to be able to defend both guards. A lot of times there weren't even distinctions between a point guard and a shooting guard. It was just you're a guard and you're a guard. Now you guard this guy, you guard that guy, just based on matchup ability, but you had to kind of be a chameleon and do both. You know, you had to kind of guard the bigger guy sometimes you had to guard the smaller guy. You weren't necessarily considered a, quote, point guard sometimes. You know, a guy like a Big O, okay, if you're going to say he was a point guard, he just was a basketball player, really, first and foremost, but he did point guard things, and he did shooting guard things to the, you know, highest level. Of course, he, you know, Hall of Famer, one of the legends of the game. Peace out to the Big O, man, love you, man. But on this topic, to say that some of the players in your day could stop Curry in today's game, that's totally false. Because one thing about today's game, now that they do have the three-pointer, it's been around for so long, these kids today who are developing their game, Curry when he was younger, and the future players to come after Curry, they're seeing the benefit in being able to be proficient from this three-point line, to where they're coming down and shooting three-pointers before you even expect it. I mean, a guy like Curry the other day, you know, against Oklahoma City, I mean, that was just indefensible. I mean, a guy takes one step beyond the half-court line and starts launching. There's no defense for that. You're never anticipating that as a defender, that a guy is just going to launch from 35 to 38 feet. So you're already back on your heels, number one. And if you try to pick a guy up, say a little further, like before he gets to half court even, or right at half court, you think you're going to pick up your defense right there on a Curry? Because now we're going to talk specifically about a Curry or a skilled player, which Curry is, and that's why I have a problem with a lot of people saying he's just a shooter. Magic. And some of you guys on the cable network, you know, it shows a lot of basketball games. You know, starts with a T, ends in a T, you know. But this great shooter stuff, strictly being just a great shooter, is nowhere near tells the story of a Stephen Curry. This guy is also a premier, if not the premier, ball handler in the league, which anybody knows for a point guard, your ball handling ability is what can actually elevate you even further ahead of the pack of just really good point guards. If you're a premier ball handler who can get low, hit all the creases, cross over, hesitate, do all those kinds of things, when you got that kind of mastery of ball handling, you're putting yourself even that further ahead of the game skill set wise, which basically eliminates the option of you trying to check him at half court. Because once you start trying to do that kind of stuff, oh, let me check you at half court with my guard, my best defender. He'll pick you up at half court. Okay, you do that. I got a little bit of momentum already as I'm dribbling up the court, and you're trying to check me half court. Oh, I'm by you. I'm by you already. I'm thinking past you as soon as I see you start to pick me up right here. I'm thinking, what am I going to do once I get past you? Because that's a done deal. Once I get past you, now I got 5-on-4. 5-on-4 with a guy like Curry? Oh, trouble. Big trouble. So that's not even an option of extending your defense with one person trying to check Curry at half court. Okay, say you want to bring two people. A trapping type of a style. Okay, we trap Curry to get the ball out of his hands. Okay. With the personnel Golden State has, we just flash Draymond Green right to the top of the circle. we hit him with a pass because I can throw beyond your double team, right? We flash Draymond there. Now Draymond has a 5-on-4. It's a 5-on-4 for Draymond Green. With the skill level that he has versus your power forward and any three other guys, you're in trouble again. So the bottom line is, when you're trying to do things to stop a Steph Curry, you're going to have to go so far out of your norm that it's going to backfire. The guy is just too skilled with the dribble, with the handle. I mean, he and Chris Paul are the best handlers. I don't want to even rank who's 1 and 2. They're the best handlers. So when you're trying to trap guys like this, you're running the risk of them breaking your defense down, which causes mismatches. And if you're trying to trap guys like this, they can pass and see the court so well that you're also going to create breakdowns in your defense. So those kinds of strategies to try to, if those are the ones you're thinking about trying to do, you better come up with another one, because those just aren't going to work. So the Curry skill set, I mean, is so phenomenal. I mean, it's not just the ball handling. Let's not just say it's the ball handling. It's not just the shooting. It's not just those two skills. But if we're just going to talk those two skills, when those two skills are at the top of the food chain, at the top of the pile of the whole league, that right there is giving me such separation over the rest of you guys. Kyle Korver is a great shooter. You know, Klay Thompson, his own teammate, great shooter. These are some of the best shooters ever. Steve Kerr, Craig Hodges, those dudes in the past, great shooters. Dale Ellis, his daddy, Dale Curry, great shooters, bar none. But guess what? You can't handle the ball like this kid. So the fact that he handles the ball and breaks down the defenders, because he is a great playmaker. Shaq, Charles, Magic. This guy is a great playmaker. He sees the whole court. You know, when he can drop dimes on guys that, you know, the defender's not looking, he gets into the crease of the defense. You know, he kicks out to the three-point shooters. I mean, this guy sees the whole court. So he's not just a shooter. This guy makes plays, which is critical, right, for any point guard. Be a playmaker, not just a one-dimensional shooter, which some people are trying to peg this guy as just a great shooter. No, he's not just a great shooter. He's a great playmaker as well. So, yeah, just looking at the overall skill set, the playmaking ability, the dribbling, the shooting. I mean, and what you can't underestimate is also the intangibles, such as, you know, the heart, the will to win. I mean, just because a guy kind of looks like a, you know, little kid out there sometimes, you know, his expressions and the way he, you know, looks kind of youngish. This guy's an assassin, man. They call him the babyface assassin, and that's real. You know, that's real. Jalen Rose, yeah, babyface assassin, right? That's what you call him. Yeah, this guy is that, because he's really like that. The intensity, you know, the clutchness. I mean, I'm going to put this guy up there as far as a clutch dude, a clutch shooter who's just got ice in his veins. I mean, who would pull the trigger on 35-footers with just ice. Like, there's no hesitation. There's no delay. There's no question that it's going in my mind. This is Curry speaking. There's no question it's going in my mind. I'm taking this because we're going to win, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to just put the ball in the bucket because you can't stop it. With that kind of clutchness and iceness, there's only one other player who can probably compare to that as far as shooting. Well, I give two other players, but who I'm kind of likening him to is Jerry West, the logo. The logo would pull up from 45, 50 feet, 35, 40 feet, 25, 28 feet with no three-pointer. But he knew it was going to go in. You know, he felt, hey, this is clutch. This is money. It's going. Wow. You know, of course, Jordan was one of the most clutch shooters of all time. Could shoot it from anywhere in the clutch. You know, this is makeup of a game shooter. I mean, he didn't care about no three-point competition, winning all that. But in a game setting, Jordan was going to hit shots from wherever on the court in the clutch. So I have to put Jordan up there too. But as far as just the pure depth of range of shot in the clutch, there's nobody like Curry other than Jerry West. guys that are just willing to pull the trigger from anywhere on the court. So let's just get it right, people, because this is just not a one-dimensional guy as far as Stephen Curry and talking about what he can do on a basketball court as a whole. I mean, he makes that whole team go, and right now, 2016, he's making this whole league fun right now. I mean, this is must-see TV, right? This is like Michael Vick before the dog incident, right? This is must-see TV. This is Cam Newton, 2015. This is Jordan, and his height is 2 3-peat runs. This is must-see television. The Warriors got it on lock. Everybody's, out to get them, and that's a lot of the reason why there's so much criticism. Because when you're on top, people want to knock you down, man. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. People want to knock you down. See that beast right there? See that lion? He's king of the jungle. King of the land, man. Who wants to see the king always thriving? People don't want to see the king always eating. The king always taking my food. You want to try to knock him down wherever you can. So when you show a little bit of vulnerability or whatever, people want to try to jump in and say all this stuff. But come on, man. 53-5, the Golden State Warriors right now, led by yours truly, the one, the only, Steph Curry. I mean, he's indispensable. With him, the Warriors can do it all. I also heard, let's just get back to one other comparison, I guess Phil Jackson. Yeah, the great Phil Jackson. Won titles, I know. We respect you, Phil. But when you call Steph Curry kind of like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, that you've seen this before, Chris Jackson, the great Chris. I know about Chris Jackson, trust me. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, yeah, I know about you. So that comparison is just not anywhere near close. Now, if you want to compare Chris Jackson at LSU, some of what Curry's doing, fine. Okay, to some of what Curry's doing, Chris Jackson LSU. Just ripping it up, 40 points, 35 a game, 45, 50-point explosions. Yeah, I remember it. I saw all of that. And also, it allowed him to be the third pick in the draft, right? And this guy was like 6'1", phenomenal hops, can shoot lights out. But here's the big difference. He wasn't nearly the playmaker as far as court vision, dribbling ability. He wasn't nearly that type of a playmaker as a Steph Curry. And, I mean, he could go out deep, deep range and all that, but he wasn't consistent like a Curry from 25 feet plus. I mean, this guy is like bullets. He's dropping bullets on you from 25 feet plus. It's just like, right at the, right through the center of the bullseye, right? So it's like just target practice. So just check it out. This guy's not no joke, man. Watch it from an objective perspective. I'm objective. Even on the Warriors, man, I love basketball, period. Pistons, bad boys. Isaiah Thomas, love you, man. One of my favorite players of all time. I wore number 11 a lot of times because of you. You're one of my favorite players in that era. And as far as Magic Johnson saying that, Curry's probably not as good as Isaiah, okay, I can see what you're saying, but it's also not totally accurate either because, I mean, Isaiah, great leader, great player, but they were different players in different eras, and it's just not, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison is all basically what I'm saying. So to make accurate, saying one thing is accurate or not, it's just not, it's not even comparable because today's game causes kids to approach it again differently. You're coming from today's game perspective where the three-point shot is just so impactful that, it's changed the whole game. And to try to deduce that to be not as significant because it's just making you kind of a shooter is false. I mean, you got to be highly skilled to shoot like this. I mean, this is the best shooter of all time, bar none. Best shooter. The best shooter. No matter which name you bring up, they cannot shoot as good as Steph Curry. They just can't. Because this guy does it off the dribble. He does from deep, 35 plus. He does it consistently from the 24-25 range where the three-pointer is. I mean, you got people in Cuba trying to talk about moving the three-point line back. Why? Because of Steph Curry. It's not because of all these other teams. It's because of Steph Curry, you know. And so you're going to move the three-point line to a distance where only he still can make a high percentage of them. So how are you helping your own team or the league? It's not. So that's ludicrous talking as well. To try to move the three-point line back even further, how about some people just start playing basketball, you know? Get some centers who can play in the post. You know, get some guys who are like a Karl Anthony Towns, these guys who are bringing back post games. Get those kind of guys back in the game, and then, you know, maybe you can start shifting the tide of the sport more to a balanced approach. But for right now, Steph Curry reigning supreme, kids are going to start to try to emulate that. I already see it. You know, kids nowadays, you know, they're just playing to the three-point line. All they can do is three or drive. There's no mid-range game. It's a lost art. Well, because why are you going to take that when your coaches are telling you not to take it? You're going to shoot from three, or you're going to drive and try to get a dunk or later. That's just the way it is. So, you know, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up right there and just say that era-driven comparisons really just aren't that valid. There's great players in every era, but there's also players who can transfer from era to era. You know, because if you're going to tell me a guy like Curry couldn't play in that era due to the physicality or whatever, yeah, he would have to be a different player in that era. So, but as growing up, you already know that. Because you look at the flip side and say, okay, a guy like Bob Cousy, let me just pull a name out of his past. Oh yeah, revered, legendary Bob Cousy. Yeah, great player, Hall of Famer. Okay, put him in today's game. Yeah, put him in today's game. Well, you know, number one, we aren't wearing, you know, canvas NBA high tops, you know, canvas Chuck Taylors. So number one, you know, your ankles are breaking. So back in those days, if you're trying to do the kind of crossovers and sharp cuts and jumps and leaping and all this extended jumps and stuff that these kids are doing nowadays, you know, you couldn't do that with wearing canvas Chuck Taylor All-Stars. You guys know that. You couldn't do that. Your ankles would be broke. You're basically running in socks out there with a bunch of canvas Chuck Taylors on. Those are just another layer of sock. So that right there is taking a lot of the, you know, a lot of the game to the next level is the equipment, the training facilities, the, you know, the training methods, also the training methods, the training facilities, training methods, the equipment, all that, this just changed the game, man. So, but anyway, if you take a guy like a Bob Cousy out of that era, you know, if you just transplant him, Bob Cousy, put him in a, you know, cryogenic chamber and bring him out of that era straight into today's era. Bob Cousy is like second string point guard today if you bring that Bob Cousy into today's game. He just couldn't play right today, right? Because he didn't really, the skill set that he had then, not going to really transfer to today's game. He wasn't that good of a shooter. I mean, come on now, let's be real. I know quite a bit about Bob Cousy too. He wasn't a great shooter. So when you're a 6'1" white point guard, I mean, let's be real. Yeah, I mean, 6'1" white point guards are thriving in today's NBA. I mean, call it how it is. It's not anything racial. It's just a fact of the game. So you would have to alter his game, right? Just like a Steph Curry would have to alter his game going back in time. If you transplanted him the same way back in time, there's no three-pointer. Maybe I got to work on my strength a little more. Maybe I got to work on penetrating and just trying to dish and then be a lockdown defender. Maybe I got to shoot the mid-range and get lethal at that. But that's not to say neither one of these guys, a Bob Cousy or a Steph Curry, could not adapt. You know, they would just have to have a different mindset of how they approach the game growing up in order to suit that environment, that climate of the league, you know. So those types of things have to be considered before you try to make any comparisons on era to era. So we'll just go ahead and wrap that up right there. Again, check us out on G.A.B. We're hosted on the G.A.B. channel. You can also follow me at QSater, Twitter at QSater. It's your boy Q, signing off. We're out. Peace.